Yes. I'm doing good, have it. No. Um, somewhat bothered to read it. You just got cooed. Ah, wonderful.
Right, now you can hear me. Now they can hear me. Alright, so we'll do that again now, British Knight, shall we? Hello, everybody. I'm back. My voice is here. You will be able to hear it in about a couple of seconds. How you doing, Chicago, now that I'm back from the dead?
Well, for the third time, I'm doing pretty good.
Like the good old days of 9/11.
Yes.
And as I said before, guys, we're going to be doing, which you didn't hear, this will be a different stream where we talk about articles. We'll be responding to two articles, one by Brendan O'Neill, another by some Washington Post dude or dudette, I don't know. So stay tuned for that. But I guess we could talk about COVID-19, can't we? Because things have been ramping up all over the world. Although in some places it's kind of been getting better. Italy, for example, has they're now the country with the most dead, right?
Officially, yes. I still think that China's cooking.
That's not corona, guys. Calm down. I just coughed then. Coof.
Fucking Coover.
Fucking Coofer. What you doing, Coofer? Staying home, Coofer. Self-isolate, Coofer. But what else? My country is beginning to not fare so well as with COVID-19.
Oh yeah, you're even closing down pubs.
Yeah, well, that's spoiling it, isn't it? More about closing down the pubs later, guys. But not only that, there was talk of herd immunity. So basically, what's happened is that the government at first thought, well, why don't we just not shut everything down? Instead, we'll allow the people to get infected and sort of immunize themselves. I think I'm probably butchering what herd immunity actually is, but that was essentially the plan. I mean, it was not. There was even a hashtag going on, which not anybody talked about, which was called was it Tory genocide? Yeah, Tory genocide. I even have a few screenshots, and they were convinced that this was an intentional ploy by the government to kill everybody, even though they would kill their supporters as well if this was indeed a genocide. But okay, it says a lot about the people who made that hashtag a thing. It was basically their attempt to be all scientific and think, well, if we make people immune, we'll be better. Well, no, I don't think that works with a country that's 60 million strong, you know, or weak, depending on your interpretation. But then they started to roll that back and start doing something a bit more sane, a bit more usual, a little bit more normal. So there's that. So how are things in America then?
Well, in my states, they've closed down all of the restaurants and bars as well.
Oh yeah.
People aren't happy about it. I'm not happy about it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I've not been out for a while. I mean, the big northern meetup that we we were all meant to be having over here in the UK. You know, me, Froggy, British Knight, Harry Ann, etc. That's not happening anymore because of coronavirus. But once coronavirus disappears into the annals of history, we shall return to the pub. The pubs will reopen. The shops will be overflowing with goods once again. I don't think it's going to spell the end of the human race, guys. Don't worry. I don't think we're in that level of urgency just yet. I don't think it's going to be that bad. Hello, Chief Moody. How you doing? And British Knight, thank you for helping us. I did not realise that the audio would be so bad again.
We didn't realise we were such massive boomers.
I'm not a boomer. Come on, boomers don't know what they're doing. I know what I'm doing. Just sometimes when I'm fiddling with things, I forget that OBS can be affected. So boomers don't know any better. I should know better. Therefore, I'm not a boomer.
Still gonna make fun of you.
God damn it. Well, you know. Interesting, they could only hear you at first, and I instantly figured it out. So, like, what is it? Is it now? Is it 200? No, it's 100,000. It was 100,000 last week that got infected. Now I think it's. Let me just look up Styx's video because he's been keeping tabs on it. This is it keeps going up and up. At least in the West and other parts of the world. Oh my God, it's a hell of a lot more than I thought. It's 275,000 cases. Italy has topped 47,000. This is what he's saying. Iran 20,000, and Madagascar has had its first infected. But I'm surprised, like a small island nation like them, especially one that's well, it's not remote, but you know it's a country that you would expect not a lot of people to go to.
R.I.P. King Julian.
Oh, is he the one who's King Julian, by the way?
He's that one lemur who sounds like a Jamaican dude.
Oh yeah, I like to move it. Yeah,
yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
I knew you were making a Madagascar reference. I just didn't know which one. Oh, we got a super chat from British Knight. In typical British fashion, takeaways are allowed to stay open since they don't require people to gather inside the store. I mean, have you seen it on a Friday night? I mean, true, they don't require people to gather inside, but people gather inside. So you can imagine how bad it's going to be there. I mean, when we get to the articles, I think somebody here who's been writing these articles has definitely never worked in a pub in his life, and he's definitely suffering what Christian Niemitz calls peopleism, or what I should be saying is peopleitis. So have you been stocking up Chicago? Have you been making sure that there's food in the fridge?
Stocked up over a month ago.
Excellent. You're what do they call those people who prepare for the apocalypse?
Preppers.
Preppers. That's it. You've been prepping.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, we prepped.
Why wouldn't I?
We prepped this month, but it was before people went really overboard. I mean, there's been some crazy clips. Like, there's one that I can't even show because it's got nudity in it. But basically, it's in America, and it's probably not a Wendy's, but I just like to say it's a Wendy's. It's not a Wendy's. Because I don't think Wendy's is a burger joint, is it? Is it chicken?
Wendy's is a burger.
Oh, it is burgers, right. So, anyway, for some reason, I think there's more to it. But this fat woman was running around naked outside the Wendy's, and this woman's giving commentary over it, and then she goes to the entrance, like the side entrance, because they have all these Mackie D's, Burger King type joints. They always have like 2 or 3 exits, right, and entrances, and she starts banging on the windows and screaming like, "Ah! Let me in! Let me in!" You know that meme? Like, I don't. Of course. I mean, honestly, I just. Why couldn't she just go to the supermarket in clothes and be normal? I mean, I don't know. This virus is sending people loopy.
I think that was from Florida, which is
it's probably
normal day Florida.
Florida girl at it again.
Florida woman.
Yeah, and then there's been fights and some looting in London. I mean, imagine my shock, right, guys? London doing that.
When aren't there fights and looting in London?
True, it's not riots like somebody at work said. It's like no. I mean, if you count 3 people as a riot, I guess, you know, there was definitely there's been vandalism and looting. Like there was one of the Poundlands or whatever it was. I don't know what it was looted, and like some person was saying, you know, diversity is going well in London. I thought, well, there's a white guy there. He's getting involved. So I don't think fucking hell. Choking on my tea. It's not Corona, god damn it. No, literally, I have been choking. Also, I was trying to do Yoda earlier as well, which is another reason why I'm coughing. But I don't think that was a clip that showed how bad London is from the political point of view. Oh, what else? Oh, and apparently there was footage from near my place of people walking down the precinct with toilet paper that they'd just stolen. You know, just, hey guys, how you doing? I've just stolen this toilet paper. What are you doing? Like, seriously. Blame China for their Kung Flu. Chief Moody, you racist. How dare you? How dare you? How dare you blame an entire country?
How dare you?
How dare you blame the glorious People's Republic of China for a disease that, yes, emanated from said region. But come on, it's not their fault that Corona exists. It's not their fault that it spread. No. Of course not. How dare you, Chief? How dare you? And British Knight says, oh, and I'm in isolation now, so Manchester wouldn't be happening for me, even if it was still happening. Yeah, I heard you. I heard some things about what happened to you, British Knight. I hope you're alright. Anyway, just play video games and wait for it all to blow over. That's what I plan to do if I have to be isolated.
Same.
I mean, there's even been talk where I work that if worst comes to worst and the shop has to close for the duration, we can choose to either go and work in other stores that still need the labour, so the ones that have not been shut, or we could just kick back and just have unpaid leave. But it would only be paid leave if we if it's an entire lockdown of the country. And I thought, oh come on, seriously? You know, all these hospitality workers, they get paid, but we don't. Shame. Oh well, nothing much we can do. I understand why they say that, but I don't know. It's penny pinching. So, what else has been going on? Do you want to talk about before we get into the articles, Chicago? Oh, I think Bernie finally bit the dust with his election.
Wait, he finally dropped out?
I don't know if he's dropped out, but Biden basically is the presumptive. That's what I saw. Let's have a look. Oh my god, he's wiping the floor. He's got 1,201. Bernie has got 896, and they need.
Oh, I know. Have you seen the prediction for Pennsylvania?
I guess it's overwhelmingly Biden.
Joe Biden, 100% chance of winning.
Wow. How many delegates are in Pennsylvania out of interest?
Over 300.
Wow. So that means like he's gonna wipe the floor. Bernie Sanders is gonna be BTFO'd.
Yeah.
I was a bit disappointed in Tulsi supporting Joe. I thought that was.
Tulsi's an opportunist, just like any other politician.
True.
Why wouldn't she support Joe?
I know. And to be fair, she was rebuked by Bernie.
She also made it very clear on why she was doing it.
Oh yeah? What did she say?
She said that she does not agree with Joe Biden in most things, but that Biden is also like the best hope for the party to even.
She's not wrong. But he's not much of one.
Well, she said best hope, not a good hope.
You help us, Obi-Wan Biden. You're our only hope.
Biden's a madman. Help us, save us.
Well, at least Pennsylvania is malarkey free. At least they can say that. 100% malarkey free state. They should put that on.
Oh yeah.
They should put that up there somewhere. Malarkey free. Heinz Guderian I know who that is a reference to. Best thing about the 2020 election is that if you don't like the guy who wins, you can assassinate him with an air horn because they're all ancient. Okay, Greta. We love you really, Chief. We love you really. So anyway, we're going to get into the articles now. So
this podcast, by the way, does not endorse political
No,
assassinations.
we do not endorse killing people with air horns, obviously.
Disavow.
YouTube, just so you know, you can't kill somebody with an air horn. As far as I know.
Yet.
I mean, I suppose if you throw it at them, maybe. But it will take some throw. So anyway,
yeah,
we'll let the chat decide if any. So do you want to go with Brendan O'Neill first from The Spectator, or do you want to go with Washington Post? And who actually did this? It is Alison Chew. Okay, Asian. Okay, right. Now I know why this article exists, but anyway, oh, Heinz Guderian does know how to kill people with an air horn. But anyway,
of course he does. He's Heinz Guderian.
I reckon we should go with Brendan O'Neill first because it's only fair. Because the Washington Post is, pretty leftist, but well, actually, so is Brendan O'Neill technically. But he's red pilled as well. So I think we'll go with the one who I think if I was to chat, I would go with the one who is more like us, just to be fair. Well, that's just my opinion. What do you think, Chicago? What should we do first?
I'm fine either way.
All right, so we got one who doesn't mind, me who is obviously biased towards the most meme-worthy article. And
well, they always do say save the best for last.
Yeah, true. But then again, the Washington Post one could be quite funny. You never know. I reckon.
Oh yeah, true.
Because the headline, guys, we can spoil the headline before I show it. It's Trump has no qualms about calling coronavirus the Chinese virus. That's a dangerous attitude, experts say. And I just want to point out, they keep going on about Asian Americans, but I'm like, which ones?
Yeah, which fucking ones?
Do you mean the Chinese, the Vietnamese, the Japanese, the Taiwanese? Like Lilith Lovett? She's not. Well, she is. I guess. She's half ethnically Chinese, I think, but she's not a Chinese citizen. She's Taiwanese, the citizenship, and American. And then you've got you,
the true Chinese,
the true Chinaman. And then you've got people like you, who's you're a quarter, as the Japanese say, but you're technically a Japanese American.
Indeed.
And then
and I have the citizenship for it.
And you got the Koreans. I mean, who are we talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I don't think naming the virus after where it comes from, spoiler alert, guys, is going to harm all Asian Americans because not all Asian Americans are Chinese. I mean, I don't know that it's that demographics. I assume most of them will be because of the railroads and all that. But
well, and also something called the Chinese Civil War.
Yeah, true. So there's that. And to be honest, the fears have been kind of I mean, there's been a few stories, but a lot of them have not ended in any bloodshed or people getting beaten up. It's usually just emotions are high and people are being irrational, then it seems to sort itself out. So there was one where I think there was a kid wearing a mask. He was an Asian kid, and somebody panicked. I was like, "Get away from me" or something. But then I think calmness prevailed. People were calmed down, and I think there were apologies made. So anyway, I think we should go with Brendan O'Neill first. That's what I think. So,
alrighty, boss.
Right, I will just show this. Everybody should see this. There it is. And this is called. Oh, this is so stupid. Boris's pub ban makes this a dark day for Britain. Now, yeah, I mean, it's not a good day.
Can't love me pub. Britain's dead.
Love me country. Love me mum. Love me wife. Love me pub.
Love me missus. Love me country. Love me mum. Love me pub. Simple as.
The North are people of simple tastes and simple pubs. But anyway, so I don't. I straight away I'm just like, this is not a dark day. Like pubs are. What's really dark is that pubs are closing down constantly. Not the ones that like part of chains, the really mainstream, commercialized ones, but your local, private publican pubs. They're the ones that are declining and closing down in increasing numbers. But no, apparently a dark day for Britain is temporarily closing them so that they don't become breeding grounds for the coronavirus. Okay, Brandon. I mean, look, the pub is I guess it is an important. It is important, but it's not that important for British life. I think there are things that British people would view as more important than the pub, unless you're an alcoholic, I guess, but or a bloody university student. So we're going to get into this article, guys. We're going to get into this.
All right.
So for surreal moments, this will take some beating. I'm in a pub, watching the Prime Minister announce the closure of pubs. It was my first instinct when I saw online news report. It was my first instinct when I saw an online news report saying all pubs would be forced to close as of this evening. To leave my office and get into a pub. I need one more pub pint. I need one more pub memory to sustain me through the dark months of tragic home boozing that lie ahead for all of us. I'm pretty sure that most people at this point actually home booze. Like,
like, do you know how expensive it is to even go to a pub all the time?
Yeah. Especially now with a lot of pubs, well, so-called pubs, they're really more bars. Like the one I worked in was called a pub, but it was really a bar. Like there wasn't a big selection of beer and cider and stuff. But that's besides the point. Is it like most people stay indoors nowadays because it's just what people do. Increasing social isolation, isolation, even before the coronavirus, people were doing this. Like people do it all the time on YouTube and on Discord. We talk to people who drink on their own. Like I personally don't. I am a social drinker, and if nobody's there to drink with me, I don't drink.
For me, it also counts for social drinking if I'm like online and chatting with friends. Like, sure, I'd pour myself a glass to go and celebrate like an election.
Which one in particular?
I think you know which one in particular I celebrated.
Is that the 2016 one?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I remember laughing my ass off. The salt was amazing. But like, what I get from that paragraph is just that, look at me, fellow people. I'm in a pub. I go to the pub too. Yes, Brandon, you drink.
Yes, I too go to the pub to do pub things.
I too.
My pub friends.
Pub friend, me do pub things. That's what it is.
Yes.
How do you do, fellow drinkers?
How do you do, fellow kids?
How do you do, fellow plebeians? The barmaid tells us she isn't sure if they will close at 8 or 10 this evening. We are awaiting government instructions. I can't believe what I'm hearing. I feel like I'm in North Korea. British governments don't close down pubs, right? Not pubs. Yes, they do actually. They do close down pubs even before coronavirus, especially if you fail your health and safety checks. If you get a big fat 0 or a 1, because they grade it in terms of 1 to 5. If yours is too low, you will be shut down. Now, that doesn't mean that you'll be shut down permanently. A lot of places I've seen have closed down and then basically ended up being reopened once they've fixed whatever hygiene problems that they needed to fix. It's usually violence that will permanently close a place down. So, like if you have too many fights in your in the vicinity of your place, or at least within the establishment, you can be closed down for that permanently. The council will crack down hard on you because I guess you'd be seen as a hotbed of, scum and villainy. But yeah, they do close down pubs. I assume they do the same thing in America, right?
Yeah. I mean, we also have something called health and safety standards.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm sure he's.
I would have hoped that you would assume that we have that.
I assume he's just being hyperbolic. Or is he genuinely like that out of touch? I hope not, because he's a smart guy. You know, I know a lot of people kind of don't like him. I noticed that on Twitter. A lot of people surprisingly don't like him, but I do. I think Brendan O'Neill's, for the most part, pretty sound. But this is... What is he doing? He's just doing his shtick when it doesn't need to be done. Just relax. They will reopen. It's
literally.
Yeah, go on.
Oh, I was just agreeing with you. Go on.
It's almost too depressing for words. I know that media people and lovies, for whom pubs are just places you go to for a hip gastro lunch, consisting of overpriced dirty burgers, will think this is over the top. Well, then they don't know the centrality of the pub to life in this country. Increasingly, it's less central to life in this country. I mean, you know...
I love how this is like the Rick and Morty copy pasta of pubs.
What is that? The one I turned myself into a pickle? Or is that? Oh no, you gotta have a high IQ to understand Rick and Morty. Yeah.
You have to have a very high IQ to understand Rick and Morty.
You have to have a very high IQ to understand the centrality of the pub to British life. How there was a pub in every street corner, and how the bitter flows, and so does the conversation. Philosophical, bruh. But anyway, since the 70s, I would say, maybe even the 60s, since the invention, or rather just the popularity of bars and clubs, I'd say the pub has become less of a hallmark, less central to people's lives, and also lifestyle changes as well. People moving out of the areas where there was pubs, and that's why they're closing. Also, I guess you could argue new people are moving in who don't drink, or just don't go to the pub for whatever reason, so they're not getting punters, so they shut down. And also, pubs have changed now. The ones that have survived are now part of big chains, at least in this country.
Yeah, I mean, well, actually, funnily enough, in the U.S., we don't have them. Well, at least where I am, there's not that many big chain pubs. So instead, we have things like small German-style beer halls, stuff like that. We also have Irish pubs, English pubs.
Yeah, see, we have Irish pubs. Obviously, a normal pub is an English pub where I am, But
really, would have never guessed.
I know, right? But yeah, I find it weird that in America there's English restaurants and stuff. Like, what? but like, they're not dirty burgers that you're getting in these places. They're actually. I mean, they're not. It's not gourmet or anything. Well, some of it's gourmet actually in some pubs you go to.
I don't know. That is actually reminds me of the last time I went to an English style pub here, and they had a burger which instead of burger patties, the burger pieces of bread between the buns, it was 2 grilled cheese sandwiches and then the burger in between.
That's definitely not an English thing, but
it was still the best burger I've ever had. But I then immediately regretted it.
see, I was thinking it was just going to have, the buns, and it would just be a big bloody burger, like a normal burger, because that's what we do usually. We don't have like patties; it's just like a proper burger.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, this is over the top, Brendan. Calm down, calm down. Over the past week, as rumours grew of a government crackdown on public houses, I popped into the pubs near my flat a few times. Just so you know, a public house in America is, it's a pub. But I think it's a very specific pub. And there's actually different words for them. So a free house, which is basically a pub that's not sponsored or owned by any particular beer company. That's what a free house is. A public house, I think, is just another word for a pub. But then again, it could also be maybe a more upscale pub. I don't know. And then you've got pubs that are owned or sponsored by your local company, or a big one like Heineken could sponsor a pub. All sorts. Take your pick, guys. John Smith's. And then he says, I wanted to know who were so frequenting these places that have apparently become hotbeds of disease and destruction. They've always been hotbeds of disease and destruction. Have you ever been to a pub? Properly.
Have you ever been Have you ever been to an English Premier League game after people go to a
I have. Depending on who won, it could be the best night of your life or the worst night of your life.
Yeah.
But like, I've lost count how many times I cut myself while working in the pub that I used to work at. Right, I've lost count how many times I've seen people, you know, they get exhausted because of heat and stuff like that, or they do catch things. People do catch diseases. That's why we have to scrub it clean every night and make sure it's absolutely spotless. Because I don't know if you know this, but beer itself has the conditions wherein bacteria can grow. Isn't yeast like created via bacteria or something? Am I right?
Yeah, yeast is basically just bacteria
Are
from
you
wheat.
telling me pubs are not hotbeds of disease and by destruction? I think he probably means fights. Yeah, I've seen a fair few fights
and property damage.
I've had to break up fights, but I don't think Brendan goes to the same pubs that I've been to, or you may have gone to even in America, because I bet America's the same, isn't it? But anywhere where there's a drinking culture.
I've actually never really seen any bar fights in America,
but that's also good ones.
But I mean, that's also because most people who go to bars here are armed.
Well, yeah. Because if you piss that guy off, you've got a bloody desert eagle to your face, you know.
I hope it's not a Desert Eagle. Those things have 50 caliber rounds.
Is that legal to open?
You wouldn't have it.
Oh, to conceal carry.
It's not a. I don't think it's illegal for you to even own a Desert Eagle anymore.
Okay, how about
like
Colt?
all of the Desert Eagles? Oh yeah, it's legal for you to concealed carry if you have the permit.
Mm-hmm. But over here we have fists and knives.
Yeah, and bleach for some reason.
Acid, especially.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, they're not hotbeds. He is exaggerating. I don't think anybody's actually said that, but they're definitely hotbeds for disease. You know, people are, there's a thing called the freshers flu. Have you heard of that?
I have not.
It's just basically every time when the new uni year starts, you get a new group of freshmen, right? Well, because they're all going out partying, they're not looking after themselves hygienically, so they get the flu, and it's called the freshers flu. Where are they getting that from? They're not getting it from the university. They're not getting it. Well, they might get it from the dorm, but really, where they're getting it from is what they're doing out on the town, isn't it? Touching people, kissing people, drinking from other people's drinks or what have you. No wonder a lot of people get the flu. It's not the worst flu in the world, but again, it happens every year. People get it. Why is that? Because pubs and bars and clubs are all disgusting, disease-ridden hellholes. At least by Brendan's hyperbole, even though he doesn't think they are, but they are. Anyway, let's move on. And I guess he's now talking about. I guess he's talking about proper pubs. Your local, love me pub style ones. It was mostly old blokes, especially during the day. Men in their 70s, usually on their own, sat at a table with a pint and a newspaper. Widowers, perhaps, grateful for a couple hours out of the house, amongst other people in the world. It breaks my heart to wonder what will come of these people now. Well, they're on their own for a reason. They don't really necessarily want to be amongst other people. They just want to hang out by themselves. People enjoy their own company, that's what they do. And also, it's probably the place they've been going to for years. It's just habit at that point. It's what people used to do back then, more often than they do now.
Yeah.
And yes, it is going to be mostly old guys, so what? And, young people go to pubs too, especially the one that I went to. I mean, it was probably catered towards young people, especially younger women, because we did cocktails. But, you had the same... You had the same thing there. Old people came into my pub all the time during the day and during the night. Obviously as the night went on and the music changed, it became more younger. But loads of old people used to hang out and have like cocktails and beers and all sorts. Pubs may be suffering at the moment, but the chain pubs seem to me to be quite, dare I say, diverse in the people who frequent them. It's true. Just in that time of day, that's what they do. It's just different time, different culture, and they're just reflecting that. Sure, young people, and even not so young people, have their TikTok chats and Google Hangouts and Instagram stories. Do you want to say it?
What?
Do you want to say it? Okay, boomer, I was thinking. Were you thinking what I
Oh.
was thinking? Okay, boomer. They'll hold virtual parties, taking selfies of themselves, enjoying tinnies as they chat online with their mates. Bully for you. Who does that? What's a virtual party? I mean, technically, I guess I've had some on here, but that's because people will live stream and
I mean,
they'll be drinking so you drink.
for me, I do like virtual gaming sessions with friends, but that's the closest I've ever gotten to a virtual party.
But that's a thing that's been going on for years. Like
Yeah,
if it wasn't LAN, it was the early multiplayer, online stuff. With
yeah.
Ultima and stuff like that. Like that's not out of the ordinary. I've never heard of a
Damn.
virtual
You
party.
just remind me that I definitely need to go and do a LAN party with friends after the coronavirus is over with.
Yeah. What about the people who need that real physical space of noise and clinking glasses and unexpected conversation that the pub provides? Well, they
To
might not
quote my dad,
the
they're
po-
gonna have to deal with it.
The point of unexpected conversation is you don't expect it. You don't go out there
Yeah.
searching for it, then you end up, oh, that was a nice chat. And by the
Ah,
way, that's more of a northern
I
thing
really
than it
enjoyed
is.
my completely expected, unexpected conversation.
And I would say that's more of a northern thing than it is a southern thing in this country. Like you're more likely to have an unexpected, nice conversation with some stranger here than you are down south. People don't know what to do with ya, as they say down south. Let's see what the chat is up to. What have you guys been saying? This is really cancer. Oh my god. I mean, it's so pretentious. He's usually not very pretentious, but I'm really disappointed in Brendan so far. We'll have to pick up the pace though because we've got the other one to do. We've got a couple of minutes left. Well, not a couple, but the clock is
Yeah.
ticking. I don't know what a virtual party is. I've never been to one, so I don't think Zoomers are doing it. Like if you look at those Americans, did you see it in Florida who are turning up for spring break? Yeah, they're not having a virtual party. I don't know what he's on about. TikTok is mainly for kids. Sorry, kids don't drink, or they shouldn't be anyway. Tomorrow, older people who haven't seen this evening's news will turn up to their local pubs and be confronted by signs saying, "Shut down on the orders of the government." If you're okay with the sorrow and confusion that will grip those people who are just looking for a few hours of social connection, then you're a stronger person than I am. Mate, most of those people have dealt with shit a lot worse than that. It depends how old they are. Like boomers will have had to deal with, winter discontent and all that
I
stuff.
mean, the 70-year-olds had to deal with something called the Second World War.
Yeah, well, I say 80-year-olds at this point, but
Oh yeah, 80-year-olds.
I mean, it depends. If you're born 1944, you would have barely had to deal with it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I mean, there's still like the V1s hitting London and shit.
Oh yeah, and there's the IRA. Can't forget that.
Yeah.
So yeah, these people have dealt with worse. They can hand. To be honest, what really kills them is people not bothering to turn up in the day when they're not in the pub at home, or even just phoning them up. Like, how you doing? That's what really kills them. Because you're on your own in the pub. Like you might get an unexpected conversation a few times a week. That's not enough human connection. Brendan, seriously. You care about them now when they've got no pubs, but do you care when they're not in the pub? No, you don't. The pub is essential to so many people in this country. Forget for a minute the shiny, hip pubs frequented by millennials who will very easily shift to house parties following Boris's mandated closure of every public house. I guess he's talking about the pub that I used to work in. Old people go there too, because they do. It's not just millennials again. Like every time it's the younger generation needs to be criticised. It's millennials, but when they're praised, it's Zoomers. I swear to God, am I not wrong there, guys?
God.
Think instead of those dark, dingy pubs with bare-hardened carpets, frequented by elderly people with nothing else to do, or those ever so slightly dangerous Irish pubs in which people, not unlike my parents, met, and in which people, not unlike me, may well have been conceived. Really?
May have been conceived. What kind of degenerate pub does he go to?
Yeah,
Jeez.
who's been doing it? Who's been doing it in the pub? That's what I want to know. You'd be kicked out if you got caught. I don't. It's pretty clear that he's not been to many pubs in his life. Otherwise, he wouldn't be idolizing them so much.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I know. They have a place, an important place, and maybe some people are over reliant on them. But is that because they're searching for social contact, or is it they want the booze? I'm just wondering. You know, there are certain types of people who need to go to pubs. Need to. And it's not normal people looking for social conversation. They can get that in a community centre. Hell, they can even chat in the library if it's not a quiet zone. You know?
Yeah.
Or
Anyways, I sent you something to know, Mike.
Right, let's have a look. Very nice. Or those country lane pubs in which the woman drinking at the bar will turn around and stare at you when you walk in. Not because you're a stranger, but because you're a new person to talk to. No, it's because you're a stranger. That's what people do when you walk through a door. People look. Like, person, look. Is it friend or foe? Oh, whatever. Anyway, that's why they do it. Don't do it because you're a new person to talk to. Oh my god, this is cringe. This is just idealistic, champagne socialist crap that he criticises the Guardianistas for doing. This is a Guardian article, but it's Brendan O'Neill's name over it, basically.
Oh my god.
I know. Britain without its pubs is not Britain. It just isn't. It becomes something else, something worse, something less free, less convivial, less human.
Becomes Scotland.
Well, Scotland has their pubs at the moment. No, wait, no, Scotland don't have the pubs either. No, Britain. I mean, yeah, we lose something, which is part of the culture. But like, the pubs aren't going forever. They're only going for a certain amount of time. And by the way, you can go to a Weatherspoons if you're really so desperate. Because that's a big chain, by the way. The owner is famous for being like a Brexiteer, and he had many debates. One was with Owen Jones, and Owen Jones is trying to attack him for having what you know what they go on about the minimum wage and stuff, right? You know, you sell them, you pay them a slave wage, and he's like, but I pay them above minimum wage. He does actually. He pays them really good wages for the roles that they do and in the industry that they are. So it's like, you know, I got paid less, you know, than that.
Yeah.
I got minimum wage. But people who work in his in his establishment, they have set hours. They're paid above minimum wage. They do have 0-hour contracts. That's another thing he's trying to get him on. Oh, you have 0-hour contracts. People might not be able to know when they turn up or not. And he's like, well, firstly, we have normal contracts as a norm. But if you want 0 hours, we can give it you. It's up to the person to decide.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, that's besides the point. If he wants to go to a pub, go to the Weatherspoons because he's going to ignore the government crackdown. I don't know if legally he can. Maybe he can. I don't know. There must be something there, or maybe he's just like whatever. I don't care. You know, it's your risk. If you want to catch corona. You know, from a really badly cleaned glass. But that's just again. You do you, Brendan. Yes, we all know that COVID-19 is a serious disease, and we all agree that huge amounts of government resources should be devoted to tackling it and treating those infected by it. But to halt everyday life, even pub life. God, I thought he was going to go to sing Park Life then.
Pub life.
Park life. Pub life. We didn't do that during the far worse 1918 flu epidemic. Oh well, I'd have to have a citation needed on that.
Citation needed.
I mean, if that area was flooded with influenza, I'm sure there would have been a pub that would have been temporarily closed down. Or during the Second World War. Well, if the pub got bombed, it's not exactly going to be used.
The pub was too busy being bombed to be open.
Again, a lot of this is like, I'm not so sure. When the IRA was bombing actual pubs, yeah, but you got to remember the IRA was not a blitz. They were selectively targeting the areas that they went to. but it's not the same as a pandemic. The IRA also used to phone in to say when they were going to bomb because of the rules of war. They follow the rules of war, believe it or not. So we always knew roughly when they were going to attack, I think. Or at least that's what the real IRA did, which was like a splinter group. But anyway, there was some kind of call, like, yeah, there's going to be a terrorist attack in this area, I guess. Good luck finding the bomb. We carried on. The pub continued. It had to. I mean, maybe the Second World War, I'll give you that, it had to. But not all of them survived. It's the space where people meet and debate and fall in love and read their newspaper. You can't read a newspaper in the bloody pub, it's too loud. As George Orwell said, forget the booze.
Okay.
Go on, yeah.
Whenever I go to like a beer hall or a pub here, I don't go there to go and debate. I go there to go and have some food, have a beer, and watch a game.
Don't forget, I mean, don't get me wrong, I've had debates in pubs. But, like, that's only because you get so deep into the conversation anyway that you're bound to, just by law of averages. But people don't go there to debate. They might, I mean, some pubs host debates, but they're usually university ones. They're just like social groups. Oh my god, it's such a dumb article.
No, definitely.
As George Orwell said, forget the booze, though that is essential. What a pub really embodies is atmosphere. Yeah, and you can recreate that atmosphere at home. It's called a house party, and old people can do house parties too. It's the atmosphere of liberty. I guess so. But not as liberal anymore as it used to be. The atmosphere of social connection, the atmosphere of life itself. I won't go that far. In this pub, Boris has been switched off, music is blaring, and people are downing as many drinks as they can before, and I still can't believe I'm saying this. Pubs are forced to shut down. This is a dark day for the UK. Fight COVID-19, yes, but don't kill freedom in the process. Now back to my pint. Salut, which is cheers, guys. So, any more thoughts on that?
That was cringe.
It was. You just posted cringe.
Be right back. Gonna have to phone Peria to send him to the cringe gulag.
Be right back. Be right back. Gonna go in my room and cry from the cringe. Be right back. Gonna get the commissar. This is cringe.
Gonna do the commie cringe.
All the Soviet Union can now know you posted cringe, Brendan. And best of all,
now the entire union knows you posted cringe.
You know what's funny? He's a Marxist. Oh, there he is. Ice cream man. At least he's brave in a coronavirus.
Life indeed does still go on in Great Britain.
The ice cream man keeps on driving. Oh my god. One day I'm going to shout at him through the window. One day. When he drives me mad.
One day it's going to be fucking hilarious.
Fuck off! Shut up! Stop driving! Anyway, here's the next article that we're going to have to power through. And it's, Trump has no qualms about calling coronavirus the Chinese virus. That's a dangerous attitude, experts say. Also, McClure's in the chat. Hello, McClure.
You see, because my friends don't like me calling it the China virus, I would now instead call it Kung Pao Sicken.
Oh, hi, Spacepan. Spacepan apparently goes to the pub to debate. Well, you're a libertarian, ANCAP. That's what you guys do. Hey!
It's the only place for welcome.
Have you met your Lord and Saviour, Hopper? Hippity hoppity.
Hippity hoppity, you're on my property.
Hippity hoppity, let's debate in the puppety.
Hippity hoppity, let's get some pintity.
He's a German, he'd love his pay.
Oh yeah.
A single word, scrawled in black marker, stood out among the prepared remarks President Trump planned to deliver during Thursday's White House press briefing on the ongoing global coronavirus pandemic. God, they think they're writing a novel, these journos nowadays. God. In the president's notes, corona had been crossed out and replaced with Chinese. Apparently it was captured in photos. Okay, I was going to wonder then, how did you know? Taken by the Washington Post's Jabin Botsford, and marks the latest instance of Trump deliberately calling the novel virus a name that has been frowned upon by critics who say its usage could lead to increased discrimination and racism toward Asian Americans, a marginalised group with a long history of being scapegoated amid public health crises.
Citation needed.
Yeah. I mean, she's got a link to a long history, but I don't know where. But again, it just links to a Washington Post.
I don't remember being attacked in middle school over SARS.
They're so marginalised that they're literally dominating universities and the top careers in America. Okay.
They're so marginalised that they're becoming one of the most powerful ethnic groups in America.
And not only that, they're intermixing a lot, so they're hardly marginalised. There's so many people in America, more so in this country anyway, that are like, half Korean, quarter Korean, Japanese, whatever, like you know. Like,
yeah,
it's a lot. There's a lot of people, at least in the West. Maybe on the Eastern Seaboard, like New York, but especially in California, places like that,
Actually, on both coasts, there's a lot.
Oh, is there?
There's not that many in Middle America. Though.
Well, there's a few enough though. Like Fargo. There's a guy. Have you seen that, right? Fargo, the film.
Yeah. I was about to say, are you talking about the city in North Dakota?
Yeah. I think there is an Asian community there, because there's an Asian character in the film, briefly.
Yeah, there's an Asian community there. I've actually gone to a really good Chinese restaurant there.
and they sound exactly like you would expect North Dakotans to sound like as well.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. For sure.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah, we're not Canadians.
Oh no, we're not Canadians here.
We don't say A.
Oh no, we don't say A.
It's racist and it creates xenophobia. Harvey. Compose myself.
What isn't racist?
I laughed at his name. I am now racist. Okay, I need to compose myself, guys. Oh shit. Harvey Dong, a lecturer in Asian American Asian. He laughed, not me.
Don.
Why did it have to be? Why? Oh,
look, man, I have to go and make up for Alcazar not being here.
We're going to hell, and you're dragging me down with you.
You're welcome.
He said it's a very dangerous situation because he's from Berkeley. Imagine my shock. Oh my god.
Oh.
Right. Firstly, is the Spanish flu racist towards the Spanish? No. Is the Middle East? What was it? The Middle East's not flu. It's rabies. Is it some Middle Eastern disease? It's just apparently they don't know where it came from in the Middle East. It's just the Middle East. Is that racist towards Arabs or Jews even? Because they're Middle Easterners. Or Kurds? No, it's not. There's the guinea worm. I think it was like a tapeworm or whatever it is. That a parasite. That's not racist.
Which is apparently being beaten the snot out of by Jimmy Carter. Of all fucking people. Some peanut farmer from Georgia used to be president.
He's using a peanut to hit the to beat the guinea worm.
He actually is. What a Chad.
Now what you gonna what you gonna do is you gotta grow peanuts and eat the peanuts. I found out recently he was a Southern American, so I had to inflect that. It's not what he sounds like, but whatever. Scores of Asian Americans nationwide have already reported being targeted in verbal and physical attacks linked to coronavirus fears. Meanwhile, conservative media figures and Republican leaders have ignored guidances from health officials urging people to avoid talking about the virus in non-neutral terms, peppering their TV hits and social media posts with phrases such as Wuhan virus and Chinese coronavirus. Yeah, funnily enough, the CNN was calling it the Chinese virus before Trump did. Did you see that? There was a screenshots going around from their Twitter, and they called it the Chinese virus. But now all of a sudden it's wrong, and we can get into that. I have a reason. I know why they're trying to stop us from saying that. But like,
Because they want to be racist.
well, yeah, but yeah, we know there's real stuff that's going on. People are being. I mentioned it before, didn't I? There's a kid that was shouted at by somebody. But what do you expect in a time of global panic where people are not acting rational? Rather than buying food, they're buying toilet paper. Rather than be fully clothed and walk inside a burger joint and get a burger, they're going around naked, being crazy in Florida and screaming, banging on the window to get in.
Why are you calling me out for my Tuesday afternoon?
I don't know. Stop doing that, Chicago. I mean, what do they expect? People are irrational and horrible in situations like this. This is gonna happen. And by the way, if it was a Spanish flu all over again, Spanish Americans would be getting that as well. But they wouldn't be talking about that though.
Yeah, because they're white.
Oh, are they?
Now they are.
Now that the president has joined in, referring to the virus this week as the Chinese virus and repeatedly defending the label, the situation for Asian Americans is likely to go from bad to worse. Several experts told the Post. Yeah, an historian is apparently an expert. Okay, on current events. Alright. But the thing is, what Asian Americans? Because is that not racist itself?
It is also actually highly racist to refer to all Asian Americans as Chinese, which is what they're doing.
Yeah, they're not. I don't think she's intending this, because I think she herself is a Chinese American. By the sound of her name, mind you, she could be
Then maybe she should stop trying to loop me in this, because then I'm just gonna call it the China virus even more.
I don't think the Koreans would like that. And the Japanese certainly would not like that.
I'm Japanese. I'm genetically predisposed to hating China.
He is. when he hears the word China, he sharpens his wakasashi.
When I hear the words China, I immediately begin thinking about Nanking.
when you see Beijing, you reflexively unsheathe your katana. Oh, Beijing. Now that is racist.
And?
Those statements are in my mind a game changer, said Gilbert G., a professor with UCLA. Again, all these Californian leftist universities. Ugh. Fielding School of Public Health. Again, what does he know about racism and stuff? He's a public health expert. Now they've basically made it okay to have an anti-Asian bias. No, they haven't. They're just saying where a virus is from.
No, the People's Republic of China has made it okay for that by existing.
I think it's Carissa Che, who is leading I assume it's Che, is leading a study examining coronavirus-related discrimination against Chinese Americans. At least she's trying to differentiate it. As called the language reckless and irresponsible. A leader, Che said, is someone that sets the climate for what's acceptable or not acceptable. Or no, actually no. The American president does not have the right to do that. I think. At least the social capital, he doesn't have the power to do that because of the First Amendment. The First Amendment stops him from doing that. That's not what a leader is meant to do. A leader does not set the climate for what is and what is not acceptable. At least in terms of speech. Maybe in terms of, don't hit that person unless he's hitting you first, Maybe. But that's a natural kind of truism. It's axiomatic. You don't need a law to tell you that. Technically, anyway. Trump is essentially throwing his American citizens or residents of Chinese and Asian descent under the bus by ignoring the consequences of the language he uses, says Che, a psychology professor at the University of Maryland, Balmer County. He's fueling these anti-Chinese sentiments among Americans, not caring that the people who will truly suffer the most are Chinese Americans and other Asian Americans, his citizens, whom he's supposed to protect. Doesn't he have a large demographic of them that vote for him? Ironically enough. Right? At least the boomers vote for him, I don't know. But he'll be fine. They know what he's trying to say. And that is, well, he's mentioning a disease from a country that we're not actually really familiar with anymore. We're not actually linked to, other than hereditary. Like I know you personally have links to Japan because you've still visited your family there, but you see yourself as American, don't you? Right?
Yeah, I see myself as American
Yeah,
first, Japanese second.
exactly. Yeah, and that's what these people think too. I mean, do I consider myself Trinidadian? No, I have. I mean, other than that's my ancestry, I have no link to the islands whatsoever. Really, technically,
Yeah.
I wouldn't know the first thing about Trinidad and Tobago, other than what I've read.
I've actually read that until
Hmm.
I actually did read that until like the mid 1950s. Trinidad was actually in the top 10 oil producing countries.
Oh, interesting. But
Yeah, they
but
were
like
outproducing Saudi Arabia for a
wow.
while.
But like, if to me, I think they're the ones feeling it because they're the ones who are trying to differentiate Chinese Americans and by extension Asian Americans like you, uh, from the rest of you. From the rest of
Yeah,
American society. It's not. I don't think it's Trump doing that. He's just mentioning a virus. you know. I think he even
yeah,
has
like
Asians in his cabinet, doesn't he? Like thingy. He
I
was
know that he for a while had the wife of the WWE's
Hmm.
CEO in his cabinet. Is
Oh
it the
yeah, he
small
did.
business
Yeah.
administrator?
McCann.
Linda McMahon.
Lindy McMahon. Yeah. Like it wasn't
Yeah.
not John Bolton. Is it John Bolton? Mitch McConnell. His wife is Asian, and she's a politician, right?
Uh,
Is it Mitch McConnell?
I don't know, but not a big fan of McConnell, to be
Obviously, I
honest with
know,
you.
but he has connections there, doesn't he, Trump, to the community or communities, really, I should say. But he's not trying to sow division. He's just saying, look, here's where it's come from. This is what it is. We've got to deal with it. And he's not even said, as far as I know, oh, we're going to quarantine all these communities. No, he's not. He's just saying we're going to fight the disease and beat it. Just remain calm. It's them who's stoking up divisions, and I think they're doing Asian. I don't like the term Asian American. I don't actually like the term African American either because I feel like it's like, well, but which black Americans do you refer to? Because some of them are Caribbean and they don't like being called African.
See, I just refer to people as Americans because I don't think that ethnicity matters.
Exactly, yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm not like certain people in my Discord who think that, you're more or less intelligent because of the color of your skin.
Look, right, to British people, you're all Yanks. That's what I always tell you guys. Like, what Americans who get obsessed with it. It's like, mate, you're all Yanks to us.
Exactly.
She noted that the hostile climate Asian Americans are finding themselves in these days is nothing new. So there's been a few cases, so therefore it's now hostile. How? To me, it seems like it's still largely business as usual. Yeah, there's some people who will get jumpy around them, but that's because they would have been jumpy if it was Irish Americans. If they saw someone who's like, "Hi, my name's O'Brien," they're gonna get jumpy. Oh my god, he's Irish. What if he has like the Irish rickets or whatever?
Irish rickets.
Well, it's a hypothetical. Like they'd be doing the same thing to the Irish.
Yeah.
There's people like that, and to be fair to these people, most of them, they're not like that usually. And I think eventually people will get over it and realize actually, yeah, most Chinese people will, in all these Chinese Americans, whatever, will not have it. Most of them have probably never been to China. At least the ones that have been in America the longest. Oh my god, here we go. This pandemic fuels ongoing racist ideas. It's not generating or creating new ideas where none existed before. Well, which ideas? This is the first time I've heard of Asian Americans being blamed for pandemics.
Here's a racist idea: sequestering off Asian Americans from the rest of American society with their own term. That's pretty racist.
Well, they're referencing stuff like this already, but we'll get into that. But I've never heard that Asian Americans have been associated with disease. I mean, maybe China itself. I mean, but that's only historically and very recently. The bubonic plague is one that I know of.
In fact, all of the stereotypes for Japanese Americans, other than during World War II, were all positive.
Well, yeah, it was the shining example of a country that, well, to people of that time in Western countries, is rising out of barbarism, even though the Japanese were not barbaric in any way. Well, except for Bushido.
Well, the Japanese weren't.
Bushido aside.
Bushido is incredibly barbaric, but
Oh,
everything else, yeah, no.
the war aspects of it, but the whole self discipline stuff is not. I would say again, it's multifaceted,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Anyways, I'm going to be right back.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, I'll just continue this little bit. So, from the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882 to World War II, internment camps, and later McCarthyism, okay, during the Cold War era, negative sentiment toward Asian Americans, particularly those of Chinese descent, has existed in the United States for centuries. Well, yeah, racism exists, and okay, and like there's these things happen, and to me, I think it's you guys who are trying to tell people these differences. You know, saying, "Hey, look at these people here. Look how different they are. Oh, look, don't say this because of this. You'll frighten these people or whatever." Like, do you not think that's going to put ideas in people's heads? You know, why are they trying to say that these American citizens are different to me because one happens to be darker than me or has different shaped eyes to me? I need to look into this. Oh my god, you might be making people racist because of that. I don't know. I honestly think that articles like this actually perpetuate racism. But anyway, let's get into the chat, shall we, and talk to you guys. How you doing? MERS, that's it. Thank you, McClure. Yeah, Middle Eastern respiratory disease. Short-lived Polish no, it was Spanish. I'm pretty sure before it became British. No, French. It was French. Hyphenated Americans. How are you doing, my lord? Nobody's blaming Asian Americans for anything. Virtually everyone is blaming the Chinese government. These retards see a few 4chan shit posters making memes of it, then see that as a general consensus. Yeah, and those memes aren't even about Asian Americans. They're about, well, Chinese people, who live in China. There is a difference. One group of people are American, the other are Chinese. In fact, other than appearances, there are big differences between the two, I would say. In terms of culture and even language, I would say. Not all Chinese Americans speak Mandarin. Mind you,
in fact, most Chinese Americans speak Cantonese.
Yeah, they're from Hong Kong.
Mm-hmm.
Or like they might. I mean, technically, a lot of ethnic Chinese people don't speak Mandarin. I mean, I think it's really a Han thing, if my memory serves, anyway. But because there's different ethnicities of Chinese, but they're all kind of the block, aren't they? Like the Cantonese are a main. It's stupid. Whatever. They were mentioning McCarthyism impacted Asian Americans, but I don't know in what way. Is that to do with Mao? I don't get it. What about Russian Americans? Did they not suffer during the Cold War? If you had a Russian name, were you not? Were you not suspected? Like German Americans and German British people were.
I mean,
were discriminated
against.
For
for a few years, yeah, Russians were suspected, but then we realized that the Russians that were here, for the most part, were the most hardcore right-wing people in the country.
There's a reason why they left. Like, I know that, and there's one of my subscribers and friends on Twitter. He's a refugee from the Soviet Union, a Jewish one. You might know him. You might have seen him talk to me. He used to be. I forgot his old name now. He has a new one, but he's mentioned how his family had to escape when they were given the option, because I think in the 70s and 80s, not Gorbachev, but one of the other ones were like, yeah, we're gonna allow.
If it was the 70s and 80s, okay, yeah. That would be Brezhnev.
It was Brezhnev. He gave like Jews the option to move to Israel, didn't he? I think.
Mm-hmm.
Because I guess he wanted them out. Because the Soviets didn't like the Jews after Stalin got it into his head he didn't like them either, I think, and they escaped. And he moved to America when he was a kid. Yeah, so he's a bit of a boomer. But yeah, he would if he was born years earlier though, if he'd moved before the Soviet Union, and he still had his Russian name. I don't know if he still has a Russian name. He would have been bullied for that in the Cold War. He would have been looked down upon, and people would have been suspicious. But again, people learn, as you say, that actually, yeah, this is silly.
Yeah.
Don't be suspicious. Don't even be suspicious of the foreign students either. Like, there was a stupid post that went kind of viral by this. I think she's a trad thought basically, but I think she was a Trump supporter kind of. and she went Natsock kind of, like not full Hitler, but you know. So like, get rid of the Asian students. This is all about how to deal with Corona. One of them was to kick the businesses out of America. You know, Chinese businesses, stop American companies from getting funding from them, specifically Hollywood. And there was another one which I forgot. I think it was maybe ban travel. Don't know, which I think is probably already done anyway. And I thought, even though I agree that the Chinese government is trying to influence people via Hollywood, that's obvious what they're trying to do. But because you're a free market economy, you can't force these companies not to. You know what you can do? Petition them, change their minds. You don't bully force them, like bully socialists do. But I don't know. Yeah. So anyway, it's kind of waffling on. It waffles on about perpetual foreigners and all that, which is not true. It may have been the case 100 years ago, 130 years ago in the 1880s, but I won't say that's the case now. But anyway, she goes on to say, it's not just a fear and targeting of a group of people who have a higher risk of infecting you. You're not reacting to a specific health threat, but are generalising it to a group of people, and labelling all of them as dangerous and deserving of exclusion and poor treatment, which he's not said. He's not said that. You're saying that. You're coming up with this in your head and saying that. Almost like they're trying to plant these ideas into people's heads that they should do it. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
By pointing out, oh look, they're different from you. You're racist because you think this. And then people wondering, well, why am I being shamed for hating people I don't hate? Is there a reason for this? Should I look into this? I don't know. And then like, anyway, let's just call it as it is. The reason why they're telling us to not call it the Chinese flu is because or the Chinese virus is because they're trying to stop people criticising the CCP. That's what it is. Because I can guarantee you, there's somebody in maybe, I don't know about the Washington Post, but there are Chinese businesses that are funding some of these websites and news corporations. I'm sure. Would you agree?
Oh, definitely.
And not only that, a lot of these people probably are ideologically similar to the people in Beijing as well. Like, the average commie seems to be constantly simping for the CCP, and it's like, I thought they were not true socialism, yet you're still defending them like they're still one of your own, which I find very interesting. I mean, technically it isn't because of the capitalist sides of it, but socially they very much are. And it's only certain parts of China anyway that are capitalist. But it's just ideological. It's an ideological thing. It's a culture war thing. I hate to say, because they don't want people to first criticise the Chinese government to then criticising socialism. If you think about it, that's what they're worried about. What do you think?
Honestly, I think that these journalists are really starting to go and, show their true colors in that they are, in fact, trying to push a narrative, which is conflating the Chinese Communist Party with Asian Americans, because people now waking up to the fact that the Chinese Communist Party indeed is very much responsible for the disaster of, not being able to contain the coronavirus whatsoever.
I think
they're not very happy about that.
No, they're not happy that they've been exposed for not being as... Because I remember the Chinese have had this reputation for being amazing at building stuff and being able to, direct loads of people and force and all sorts to fix problems. Well, the charade is up. It's nothing but propaganda. It turns out, actually, they're not very good at dealing with this type of stuff. Central planning is not working. When you're like, when the hospital, or it was a hotel, wasn't it? But they were housing sick people in there, or just maybe not refugees, but people who needed housing. When it collapses because you have no building standards, because you build these buildings so quickly and in such a short amount of time. Yeah, it's beginning to show the cracks in many ways. Yeah, you're right, and that's why they're defending it. I think because people will start seeing the CCP for what it really is, and what communism is for what it really is. I think.
Oh, definitely.
Because I mean, it's not unfounded. From the outside, you would think China's pretty damn good at building stuff. I mean, they can build whole cities in a matter of years. They can build a hospital in a matter of... It takes us ages because we have to have planning permission and things like that. We have to have it built a certain way. But I always tell people, like, yeah, they might be able to do it quicker than us, but at least ours will still be standing 50 years from now. 100 years from now. Even.
Yeah.
I live near a former hospital. It's now a block of flats. It's 100 odd years old. It's still standing. And a very nice building, I might add. I mean, the new one is ugly in comparison, but that will also last 100 years. The Chinese ones won't. Unless they look after it, but I can't. Again, they don't build to last.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. But anyway, we could continue, but we're going over time as it is.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that's a bit more juicy? Well, actually, to be fair, we've pretty much said everything that we were going to say near the end. So,
yeah,
I think we'll end it there. What do you think? I think we should end it there.
Yeah, I think we're good.
I think we'll just go through some of the chat and then we'll and then that's it. McClure's talking about Trinidad. No, it belonged to Kurland, and Kurland was a Polish vassal. Trinidad used to be called New Kurland. So that's the Caribbean islands they used to own. Right, okay. Now I know what you mean. I thought Kurland was more, not Poland, but Lithuania, right? It's in Lithuania. But then again, vassal, so makes sense. And then Black Lord Fenrir is talking about the language, or even the accent barrier, because he has neighbours that are Chinese, and they speak Mandarin and Cantonese, and they don't understand each other because of their accents. Then McClure says they're just dumb. They don't try to push anything. They did contain it. It's not the problem with speed of construction. They're using prefabricated. Yeah, that's what I mean, isn't it? It's prefabricated and poor quality, and they're building it in the rush anyway, which will probably impact it anyway. It's like with and then Black Lord of Fenrir says, it's like with the Soviet Communist Party in Chernobyl. The CPC believes it is increasingly incapable of fucking up, so they're desperately trying to pass the buck off. Yeah, exactly. That's why they were trying to blame it on America as like some kind of virus that they created in the lab. Okay, fair enough, McClure. But again, I will say this: our buildings last longer than theirs. They may look garbage, but at least they don't. At least they last longer. But anyway, that's all we have for today. So, last words, Chicago.
You can go do your first last words. I'll go and think of one.
I always go last.
Oh yeah, that's fair. Try not to the compound stick.
Exactly. Wash your hands. Stay indoors. Sometimes get fresh air though. You do need. You do need fresh air. So don't stay indoors all the damn time. Go in your garden. Hell, go out into your little backyard of your flat or whatever. Take a breather. Get some vitamin D, because you're gonna be stuck indoors all day. You're not gonna get the sunlight and vitamin D. Stock up on vitamin D as well. That's important. So you don't have any stuff that goes along with that. And until next time, guys, we'll see you next week, and hopefully Alcazar will be there and maybe a guest. So I'll see you later, guys.
Yeah.